Do we want to go investigate the horses and the corpses, or do we want to go to the beer hall and see if there was any information there
Beer
about the
hall,
horse?
or you could start your investigation of the Draconis brothers, essentially, and
Right.
find out, try to start tracking them down.
Personally, I'd like to start tracking down the brothers, but other than trying to follow my nose through a heavy populated city, I don't really know where else I could start.
Maybe we should go to the beer hall first before any of the clues are cleaned or otherwise disappeared. I think that's a little more time sensitive.
Wouldn't hurt,
And
yeah.
then maybe we buy some scrying stuff and see what we can find about the boys. And since we're going to be traveling around, we may run into some corpses or dead horses as we're going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Perhaps.
so you head back to. We'll just say you have a central postal box or something along those lines. You take messages at as a team. Uh, you're picking up your messages for the day as you're sort of grabbing the daily paper. Uh, there's at this point the scourge of dead horses seems to have spread from the south ward to the north ward, and nobles at this point are up in arms about the stench. It's like it must be that and there's all sorts of like horrible racist crap in the local paper about it's like it all must be the Fae's fault. It's like they're with their witchy ways and unclean magics, they are tainting the streets of London. Something must be done about the Fae. It's like
There were some ugly things that crawled up out of that hole down there. There was that giant beam of light that turned everything colors. And then
yes,
after
the
that,
giant beam of light and then something shadowy and horrific like descending from the sky, only to
yeah.
disappear a moment later. Yes.
And then there was that thing that we ran into that we pushed into the sandstorm and it crawled out the hole. So
Yes.
that was composed of all of the dead corpses. So we've
Yes.
had two strange things. I wonder if they have anything to do with dead horses and maggots and people.
Yes. All of those are reasonable things to investigate. So the undead horror that crawled up out of the summoning circle, formed up from the corpses around the summoning circle is while the paladins say they destroyed it, perhaps evil never is truly destroyed, sort of deal.
Oh, I like that. That's philosophical.
Okay, so so heading to the beer hall. You take everybody spends a pound to take the to carrot, i.e., a gold piece to get a carriage to the north side of town. Otherwise, walking is just walking that far is quite inconvenient. You're looking at a like 30-40 minute walk. So it's about 10-15 minutes later. You arrive with fresh legs and in the North Ward. The beer hall is in a moderately well-to-do neighborhood, mainly full of merchants and other sort of middle townsfolk like actuaries and sort of white collar jobs. Let's see here, and then perhaps some higher end like coopers and candle makers and paper purveyors and paper and parchment and that sort of stuff. So the beer hall sort of sits quiet and empty at pretty much off the main road here uh, as you're sort of looking up and down. People sort of look at you curiously back as you look at them. None of you seem to be particularly out of place here. You see off and on basically some fey porter, basically like a goblin or a half orc, basically running a wheelbarrow down the street or running a wagon down the street. But the majority of people here are all human, so you're sort of in a human centric neighborhood. You head up to the beer hall itself, check the doors. The doors seem to be locked at this point. You don't remember them being locked the last time, but they are locked now. All the shutters, all the windows and doors seem to be shuttered at this point. So the shutters are some internal shutters on the inside have been shut,
Hmm.
so you cannot look inside the building. You happen to recall that there was some sort of trapdoor in the roof somewhere, and there's a iron ladder in the back. You never went in and out that way, but you happen to recall it off the top of your head that exists.
That might be a little bit more stealthy than standing out here in broad daylight to try and
Yes.
break the law.
The closest two merchants are a candle maker and a butcher.
I think Dirk would like to go and interview them and see if he's going to pull out the badge that we got from the police and say we're investigating some of the strange going on, to do with the horses and the corpses, and we want to know if there's been any activity at this hall, any comings and goings, or anything unusual.
Well, just the regular lot. It's like that you're talking to the butcher at this point because he seems to be actually open like 24, almost 24/7. The candle maker seems to be only there like limited hours during the day, so the butcher is in, but the candle maker's out at the moment. I don't know. Regular bear hall. We hold a weekly festival in the we hold a weekly street festival in there. All get together, have a good time, drink a lot of beer.
And what day of the week is that?
Oh, let's see. That would be Wednesday.
Wednesdays. Okay. And what is today? Do we know from the paper?
So it's Monday at the moment.
Okay.
So you got about 2 days out
Okay.
from.
So
You're
all
welcome
of
to come. Everybody's welcome to come.
well, thank you. That sounds lovely. And then, other than that, we haven't seen anybody going in and out. It's just mainly there for Wednesdays and special occasions. I imagine people rent it for weddings and
Yes,
events.
absolutely. Not too many weddings lately or private events, but we open the hall up weekly. Uh,
Okay.
it's owned by what is it? This wealthy Davenport family. Never see the Davenports, but
Okay.
I gotta tip my hat to them for providing such a lovely establishment.
Well, that's so nice of them. Do any of their servants or any of their people come over and ask questions or clean it or
Oh
change?
well, let's see. Maria, their head maid, and Harcourt, their butler, are here every so often. Buy some sausages and rolls for me. As he sort of
Okay.
points to a pile of sausages and a pile of sausage rolls.
I can see
That
those
seems
do.
to be the specialty of his shop. It's like, other than that, I can get you a lovely bit of lamb, essentially.
Those sausages do look good. I think I may need to. I don't want to carry them around town today, but I may have to come back for some before I head home. Um. All right. Here's our card, and if you see anything unusual or interesting, you can of course contact the police, or feel free to send something here, and we will pick up and investigate from there. Thank you very much.
Right, you do that. I'll do that as well. It's like he warmly welcomes this sort of portly, middle-aged woman with brown hair and a bonnet that wanders in. She's like, "Mr. Butcher, I'll be looking for a couple of like 9 links of sausages today." Well, that as the butcher begins to cut off nine links and package up the package for the middle-aged woman that came in, she's you're sort of looking up and down the street at this point. There you sort of look at the back alleyway of the beer hall at this point. You notice there's a lot of like what is it? Like seating or tables that fold down from the side of the building, as well as an awning. So you're guessing this is probably, given the size of the beer hall and the fact it also has outdoor seating, this thing probably quite a few people basically come Wednesday.
Hmm.
All right, and if you just and if you just basically poke around and ask other people mention that, yeah, we have a weekly block party. They everybody speaks highly of the Davenports, even though nobody's ever seen them except for their servants. So they've seen Maria, the head maid, and Harcourt, their butler. Harcourt is the a sort of like beast of a man. He's like huge. He's supposedly an old vet from the campaigns in Tir Nanog. and he stands something like 6'8" or something, and is like, and is a basically towering beast of a man, essentially with wild hair and sort of bushy mustache and hair. And then Maria is this slight dark-haired woman, essentially with hollow eyes and sort of sort of very pale complexion. That stands literally maybe about a head and a half shorter than Harcourt. They make the oddest couple, they do. All right. Other than that, I don't think you fully searched the beer hall itself. So if you want to do that, you can always do a little bit of breaking and entering.
Yeah, I
Because
think
it's
we
locked
wanted
up
to
at the
go
moment.
try up the top, and now if they see us looking around up there, it's not going to look unusual because we flashed our badge and
Okay. All right. You
established
head
that we're
around to the
warlock.
back. There's a dumpster here, and something smells horrible in this dumpster. It's like rotting meat or something.
Does it smell like human or something else? Because I feel like
It
after
could be a
everything we've
dead
been through by this
animal that's
point,
been dumped in the garbage bin. It could be a person. It could be a dead horse. It's very hard to tell. Sanitation is sort of like iffy in London during this period anyway. So,
Maybe
but
we
yeah,
can.
there's just something like smelling like rotting flesh and sewage like from a garbage bin, essentially not too far away down the alleyway.
but it smells more like sewage than like dead bodies or anything.
Well, I'm saying it said both of those things roughly smell the same. Let's put it that way.
Fair
So,
point.
I think I can. Dirk can have Mage Hand go root around in there a little bit, and Mac, you can probably parse what the smells are a little bit better than the rest of
I'm
us.
gonna try.
Mack is of the opinion, yes, that is definitely rotting meat.
Kind of all smells the same. I have to get a much better look at it if I wanted to tell if it was human or not.
Yeah, so that Mac is a connoisseur of like rotten smells is slightly off-putting, but
It comes with the territory.
The Mac says, yeah, it doesn't have that sharp, acrid tang of sewage, so it's definitely rotten meat.
Well,
It's not rotten food, basically, because vegetables smell like grass when they rot.
Well, we can throw dancing lights in there to put some light on it,
Okay,
and Mage
so you
Hand
pop
can sort of
open
turn some things around. Yeah.
you pop open the skiff. There's the you immediately regret this as the maggot races starts, as basically maggots start scattering all over the place to try to get away from the light. There's some like mushy pile of rags and meat and blood like piled on the bottom of the skip as Dirk is putting like a wet cloth over his mouth and like filtering through it with Mage Hand at the moment. It's like it takes no investigation roll or medicine roll to realize this is a person.
Can I tell? Would this be like a medicine check to see like what type of person it is? Like if it was elderly, young person, fey creature.
Well, you'd have to fetch the body out of there at this point, unless you want to jump in the skip with this thing, which also looks gross. So
we don't have anyone tonight with prestidigitation. Am I correct?
Mac does not want fleas, so
you may want to levitate it out of there instead of handling it with your hands.
Levitate. How could I not?
I don't want fleas, and I don't want maggots, so I'm gonna pass. I do have standards, believe it or not.
I do have my invisible servant. If you want me to have him drag it out.
All right, let me see how much.
Or prestidigitation, or
no.
okay. Just checking.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be smart?
Well, there's the Imperial Mages College. You can always basically go buy some spells. Let's put it that way. There's a reason why I give you guys money. There's a reason why.
Well, there we go. And then there's the police too. But like, if we ask them to come in and do an investigation, then they're going to take the body away. So
yeah,
we might have different clues that we would see.
All right, roll me an investigation check at disadvantage if you're just gonna have to leave it in the skip and poke at it with Mage Hand. Okay, so let me see how much Unseen Servant can lift.
I assist? Like, can Krishana roll and Dirk assist so that it's a flat roll?
Sure. Okay, so it's as strong as a normal human. So yes, your unseen servant can fetch it out of there.
I will command my unseen servant to fetch it out.
Okay, so your unseen servant has like sticky red stains, all dripping sticky red stuff all over the place. Fetching this person out, it does not look like a well-to-do individual. They're definitely dressed in rags, so perhaps a beggar or a street urchin that you're guessing from, which they seem to be awfully far from home to be found dead here, but which is unusual. Investigation or medicine, essentially, to do your forensics on the body.
I got medicine.
Yeah, let's try that. Mine's lackluster.
I actually have a +1 in medicine, believe it or not.
I rolled a 15.
All right, so Krishana is like pulling out a long, thin dagger and poking at the body at this point. As far as you can tell, this person was clawed in the neck, essentially. The cuts, the lacerations in the neck are way too rough to have been made by a blade. And there's 3 of them sort of next to each other. So this person looks like they got clawed in the jugular and bled to death. There's sort of been a couple drizzly rains between now and when this body got placed in the skip, as far as you can tell, because there's the traces of. There's no way this person got put in there without like leaving a blood trail, but there's no blood trail to be seen at this point, as there's so the deductive reason would indicate that the rain has washed away the trail to where this person got killed.
Yeah, but like Macbeth, blood is not so easily washed away. Can I try and sniff to see where it came from?
Sure. You start sniffing around carefully. I need a survival check.
Survival or perception? Just making sure.
Whichever is better for you, really.
Survival's +4. Perception, I have it. Since this is smell, I should have advantage on perception, right?
Yes.
All right. That is a natural 20 for a 24 total.
All right. So the trail leads right up to one of the boarded up windows, the shuttered windows to the beer hall, and just sort of terminates there. And then you smell like an incredibly faint smell of lilac or lavender. So it's the sort of Davenport's trademark perfume / cologne.
Mm-hmm.
So a good guess is this person probably saw something they weren't supposed to and got killed and put in a dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
Does the claw look similar to any of the other bodies that we've seen with any other minions?
The claw marks look appropriate for like a human-sized claw, so that it could be a ghoul, it could be a vampire.
Okay.
So either one of those would, and you've seen plenty of wounds caused by both of those supernatural entities at this point. They're going. So my guess is this unfortunate got so. At this point, the other things you've revealed through forensics at this point, though, the corpse is quite rotten. You determine gender is female, age is probably about 13, 14. There are no basically belongings. Well, actually, you fish out some belongings. She has a small hip pouch, essentially tied to her waist. As you fish that open, it has a few like mementos, like a shiny bit of glass, a few copper pieces, a pressed flower. But the thing that interests you most is there's a wooden token with S Hearts L. So she may have had a friend.
Okay.
Does it have a sniff to it, like a scent of a person?
You're sort of sniffing around her goods. No, it does not, unfortunately. Or if it does, it's basically like hidden under layers of like rotten flesh.
Yeah, it's been sitting here too long.
It's been sitting on her person for too long. So, your guess is essentially this girl was killed. It's kind of hard to tell. The rot is pretty advanced, so it would have been more than a week ago.
So that's before a lot of these other things have been happening. Still, we should probably let the police know eventually, but I think first we need to try and get a look at
the other. Yeah. So this person has probably been in bed more than a week. You did find out from the locals, sort of trash pickup is. You eventually find out from the locals that trash pickup is like once a month. So it would be at least another 2 weeks before the skip got picked up, and someone would have discovered this girl.
Okay, I think maybe we should send a couple of people up top to try and get into the beer hall that way and let us in the front.
You head up to the top. There's a sort of rusty iron trap door up there with a. You're realizing it is padlocked from the inside because you sort of can lift it up and then you can see the padlock there.
Can I just try and wrench it open?
Sure, athletics.
$24 again.
Hey.
18 plus 6.
Okay.
Can I try and put?
There's a loud crack as you wrench the door pretty much completely off its hinges. Looks like the padlock's still completely intact, but the hinges are destroyed because those were rusted, but the padlock was still in good condition.
They'll never notice.
You reverse hinge this thing the other way and start heading down one of those simple steel utility ladders that looks perilous and skinny on the way down. Okay, so it's maybe about like maybe 30, 40 feet to the floor of the hall from here. You're in a sort of back area where there's a lot of rigging to for pulling up and down chandeliers for lighting, and what else? And you're next to where all the tables and chairs are stacked up, essentially while not in use, and so you're sort of in a forest of chairs and folding tables at the moment. You sort of sit there and listen for a second to make sure there's nobody in here. It doesn't sound like it. You hear the creak of the building, and every so often some cheeping of rats, but that's about it. You head out into the main hall. You can see the vague traceries of the magic circle that exists right in the middle of the bear hall. If you didn't know what you were looking for, essentially it would be easy to miss, but it is just like if you look at just the right angle, all the basically stains and like off-colored bits of wood basically clearly trace out a magic circle. But from the ground level, it'd be almost impossible to tell that it's there. What else is there? There's an office on one side of this very large room. There's a bar that sort of runs all the way across one side of the building. What else? There's at least 10 chandeliers rigged to hang from the ceiling. There's catwalks up above, though they don't look like stage catwalks that people are meant to basically run around there and maintain. It's mainly there basically as a support for the ceiling. Let's see what else.
Can we tell which window would have been the one that the blood trail led back to?
You basically see that it is the backside of the office.
Maybe we need to check out the office.
Okay, so the office itself, there is no lock on it. There's just an open curtain, effectively. You sweep aside the curtain. There's a sort of messy desk here with also sorts of ticket receipts scattered across all of it, as well as is a well used and well worn ledger that has a giant coffee stain like over like more than half of its pages. You sort of flip through it casually. It's pretty much a record of receipts and comings and goings, basically, of deliveries to the beer hall, generally for the Wednesday block party. There, everything is effectively signed initialed either by an M or an HAR. So you're guessing that's Maria and Harcourt that are signing for all this stuff. There's also a signature for one Agnes, her name fully written out in like fine penmanship. You're guessing she's the mistress's private maid. You've actually seen all of these people basically at the Davenport mansion previously, so you generally know what they all look like.
So, can Mack tell from the scent which, like, does he have a good feel for which one is which?
The servants he's never actually. I don't think you've actually ever encountered in person. You've sort of seen them like in passing through windows or when you were surveilling the building, but you've never actually met them face to face. You've met the Davenports face to face, most of the Davenports face to face, but you have not actually met their servants.
Yeah, Dirk's thinking that if he gets the scent here, then if we run into him in the future,
you're smelling around. Dirk can definitely smell the Davenports. So you're guessing their servants must also use this cologne or perfume. It's sort of heady and sweet, the better to mask basically the smell of blood and death. Okay, so you're sort of filtering through drawers and the trash bin at this point. There's looking through the trash bin, you eventually pull out a piece of paper, the crumpled bit of paper that notes a delivery to what is it? Goodwin and Sons breweries. A delivery from Goodwin and Sons breweries, but it distinctly has a like smear of blood on it, as if someone had used this piece of paper to wipe blood off their hand and toss it into the trash.
Is this the same scent of blood that was from the window?
You're sort of like smelling it. You're going, yeah, that's pretty much the same person.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, there's a receipt from Goodwin and Sons, Fried Spirits and Beers, where somebody has wiped their hand on this thing and tossed it into the trash. Let's see here, what else? The blood is about the right age. Basically, it's dry. It's definitely more than a week old, more than a couple days old. What other stuff? Filtering through the drawers, you eventually find a little bit of loose change. There's maybe about enough for each of you to basically pick up about 10 gold's worth of like from a cash box. I don't know if you're gonna actually take that with you or just gonna leave it.
I'll take the money, sure. Well, at least I'll take 10 gold pieces. Okay. I hope everyone does as well.
I do.
Okay, so Al basically pockets put some pocket money into her pouch, and
good for a snack later.
Other than that, there's what is it? Let's see. I need investigation rolls to basically interpret the ledger, because I don't know if any of you basically have an accounting background, but it's essentially you're looking for unusual entries in there. But whoever wants to do the rolls on the reading the ledger, you should do so now.
What's your investigation?
One.
Can I assist her so she gets advantage?
Sure.
All right.
So right click on the number, and then it'll show you advantage, flat, or disadvantage, and you click on advantage and then roll, and then that way it'll give you the.
Whoops. Sorry.
Huh? I actually never knew that.
Oh yeah, that's way cool.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
21.
I think did it? I don't think it did.
I saw
It didn't send here, but I saw 21 on my D&D Beyond.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm using my iPad, so it buffered, and I didn't know what happened. But I got a 21.
21. All right. So, looking through the ledger, okay. So there's lots of receipts to Goodwin and Sons, Fight Spirits and Beer, and there are some ledger entries that have simply marked as XXX NNN, and you're not quite sure what the frick that is, but large sums of money, essentially, like hundreds to thousands of
Oh wow!
pounds are basically being transacted with this vendor, whoever that is. So that's a coded entry of some sort. And then there's a lot of like traffic with other merchants you saw up and down the street, like the candle maker for the chandeliers. There's receipts with the butcher just across the way, for like X amount of sausage rolls. Let's see, there's there's party favors essentially from the paper maker. There's and if you flip back far enough, essentially on Queen's Day, there's even mention of fireworks, essentially. So,
Hey, Lawrence,
yes.
can we look through the ledger for any large purchases that would match ingredients for that their sun lotion?
Oh, their sun lotion. Yes. You would assume this XXXNNN's coded entry is it. The other entry that looks promising is there is an apothecary on this street. There's some reasonable amount of money being transacted with the apothecary, but like the chemist basically tends to be a somewhat expensive. Going to the chemist tends to be relatively expensive, so the money doesn't seem to their spending on this doesn't seem to be unusual, but the unusual entries are definitely the coded XXXNNN entries. But as far as their sunscreen, yes, you could definitely the most promising entries in there have to do with the apothecary down the street.
I think we should pocket this ledger and the paper with the blood on it. And
Okay.
is there anything that we can do outside where we can tell where the circle is to deactivate it so they can't like come back here again?
Well, you can always just damage the magic circle, so that'll leave like visible scars on the floor, obviously. But yes, you could do that.
What do you guys think? Should we do that?
I think that's not a bad idea at all.
Okay.
I mean, we're already trying to tear down their entire enterprise, so one more drop
All
in the
right. So
bucket.
you start smashing up bits of the floor at this point. Well, let's put it this way. You put the deep gouges in it because I'm assuming you guys don't want to be dicks and basically actually ruin the dance hall.
Yeah, I think the nice people on this street that may have been enchanted, have their Wednesday nights, but they don't benefit by it being a place for the vampires to come. So I don't think they'd mind.
So you just damage the magic circle by leaving deep gouges in the floor, but you don't.
I got this.
Don't actually break up the floorboards and. Okay, so as you're scraping across the floor, this is definitely a dance floor, which basically has springs, so sort of leaf springs underneath it, basically to make for a softer, nicer dancing area. You're scraping at this thing, it's like, there's got to be a hollow. It sounds hollow. There's got to be basically a space underneath there, but there doesn't seem to be any obvious way of getting down there. It must be hidden. There's got to be a way to get down there minimally to go maintain basically all the sort of like spring work underneath the dance floor.
Can I sniff for a path of like heavy traffic?
Well, everywhere in here is heavily trafficked, right? People come in here like on a weekly basis and have fun. So I just need normal investigation or perception rolls to see if you can figure out the secret entrance.
I'm
At worst, you can always basically dig up some floorboards in a corner behind
21. I'm on
in a
fire.
corner somewhere and try getting in that way. But
So Matt
okay, did
21.
anybody clear 18?
Matt got a 21.
Okay, great. All right, Mac, you eventually like do the Mexican hat dance across the floor until you find a particularly hollow sounding spot. Use your claws to basically dig at the floorboards and pull. There's and eventually some of the floorboards give and you're able to pull up. This is definitely not necessarily. You sort of realize a little late that it's like, okay, well, there's probably a right way of opening this, but it's open now. As a large chunk of the floor basically lifts up like a jigsaw puzzle piece. There's a couple snaps from like what were probably grooves or binders underneath there, but the trapdoor is open now.
Well, I'll throw dancing lights down there so we can see under the floor.
So there's a crawlway underneath here that's maybe about 4 or 5 feet tall. Enough for repairmen to get down there and basically repair the floor and substructure. You also see what is a large sort of grated hole basically leading straight down into the ground.
I think this is up your alley, Dirk. I think I'm a little too big for down there.
Yeah, I think so. Dirk will go down and
Okay,
I'll be following you from up here if anything goes wrong.
Dirk is obviously a shorty, so you walk up to the grated. You're sort of wandering around down here. It smells a little bit musty, but not unpleasant. There's just a lot of dust. Basically, dust is really heavy in the air. You sort of wander around the edges to make sure there's nothing hidden in the corners. You sort of scatter rats all over the place as you sort of do the rat roundup as you make your rounds, and eventually you arrive at this grate. It doesn't smell like a storm drain or sewer because it definitely doesn't smell like sewage. So you're guessing this leads to the gaslighters tunnels.
can I drop something down and see if I hear it fall?
Okay. Okay, you drop a your pence piece down there. There's a loud ting 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 as it clatters through the grate, and the grate is not all that has pretty large gaps in it, by the way. It's like it has 3 or 4 inch gaps in it. Enough to basically keep people from falling through, not enough to essentially stand on steadily though. The grate itself is probably about 4 or 5 feet across, so it looks relatively heavy and made of iron. You watch as your coin spins end over end and eventually clatters to the bottom of the shaft, maybe about 20 feet below. There's a large circular, moderately large circular room below you.
Dirk, you all right down there? And I've just sort of been following Dirk from like up above the dance floor.
Yeah, so I'll report all of that back to Mack via telepathy, and I'd like to send a dancing light down the thing and see if I can see anything else about the room down there.
Okay. The first thing that stands out is there is a almost completely shattered skeleton of a humanoid sort of sitting at the bottom of that shaft. Been there a really long time. The rats have definitely gotten to it. And it's been completely denuded of all flesh and cartilage, so just like bleached white bones with little bits of rag like scattered around it. And other than that, you're not. The room below you is large enough to basically hide any. From your vantage point, the shaft is pretty much hiding the rest of the details of the room.
Does it look dusty down there too?
Well, yes, yeah. The dust from up here definitely gets down there, so you can see sort of this checkerboard pattern of dust, essentially, that is sort of scattered down below you.
Okay, but it doesn't look like it's been disturbed recently.
It does not, but if the Davenports go this way, most of them can fly, so it's not like they actually have to touch the ground.
Okay. So, guys, do you think that we need to go down further and explore where this connects to the Lamplighters, or is it enough to know that it's here?
I mean, the Lamplights haven't exactly been a big problem, have they?
Well, it turns out that at least half of them were in league with or enchanted by the Davenports, and they turned on the cops in the tunnels, and there was a big
And what the
fight
fuck we
down
gonna
there.
do about it from here?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking this is one of those things we should turn over to the cops again and let them send somebody down there. What do you think?
I don't want to get charged for destruction of property, so that sounds like a good idea to me.
So they can investigate the girl and the skeleton, and maybe do we want to hang on to the ledger or give that to him too?
The ledger could still be useful for now.
Okay.
At least I think it could.
Okay, so the next, if you sort of look at the schedule of when the XXXNNN deliveries get made, they pretty much come like clockwork during the basically block party on Wednesdays.
Maybe it gets smuggled in during the party when no one's paying attention.
So today's Monday. I think we should come to the party on Wednesday. We were invited.
Yes, we were, weren't we?
To the party with me.
Yeah.
Krishana is all ears. It's like, party?
Maybe Dirk will get to play. He's got his bagpipes, you know.
Okay, so are you going to check out the apothecary on the street since that Krishana, you were interested in seeing if they have vampire sunscreen? They're compounding vampire sunscreen over there.
I thought we found out they were making it down in the.
Yes, they make it in their own lab, but
components. They need to get components somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I'm trying to track down the components, the business end of it.
Yep.
Yeah,
right,
so I think we should go to the
right
apothecary.
Do you want to talk to them or no?
Yes, I think we should go.
And I think, Krishana, you're the one to ask the questions at this one, I think.
All right, so you arrive at Crenshaw's apothecary. There's a this guy's obviously a chemist, i.e., effectively the person that predates a pharmacist. There's simple pictographs essentially for things that ail you, like a stomach ache or a headache, and pictures of pills and tinctures and expertly illustrated on a sort of a sandwich board that sort of sits out in front of his establishment. As you come in, there's the tinkle of bells, ting, and a bespectacled older human with a shock of white hair, sitting on top of his head, and a shock of white hair to the right and left, sort of, and then bald space in between. He looks like Lemony Cricket. So he has a pair of spectacles perched on his nose, one of those as they sort of pinched to the end of his nose. And he's wearing leggings and doublet at this point, and a coat over that. So he seems to be grinding something furiously in a mortar and pestle at the moment. It's like, be with you in a moment. Tell me, what ails you?
Greetings, good sir. I am trying to develop a new sunscreen, and I was tracked down some ingredients that might be helpful, but I don't know where to find these.
You got a list, essentially. I'm a compounder here. I can make you, provided I have the ingredients, I can make most things for you.
Okay, so Krishana will list off a bunch of random ingredients and then sneak in a few of the unknown ingredients that she found on the sunscreen list.
Fair enough. It's like, all right, that's some unusual stuff. Horribly expensive. Essentially, there's cheaper compounds that will do the trick if you're looking to keep yourself from getting sunburnt, but not that that's a big issue here in London.
No, I'm making top quality stuff.
All right. I'll see. Let me see. Go in the back and see what I can do. What is it? Mack is sort of sniffing around in here, and it vaguely smells of lavender. It vaguely smells of lavender in here. Is just like the Davenport servants or the Davenports themselves have been in this place before, enough to where the basically smell sort of lingers around the place. The compounder eventually comes back. It's like, all right, well, he's scribed a list on a piece of paper and hands it to you. It's like, all right, well, I have these ingredients here. I don't have these. So he has maybe about, he has a lot of the key ingredients essentially for the vampire sunscreen. It's like, so, do you want me to compound this concoction for you? It's like, be 100 gold.
But aren't we missing a few of these ingredients? What about these ingredients?
Well, I don't got these, essentially. But most of those are fragrances and to make it nicer to put on the fragrances and unguents to make them nicer on the skin. But these ingredients are the ones you want essentially to protect you from the sun. So I'm sure you can basically go to a perfumer and get the rest. But I can compound the base here if that's what you're interested in.
Can I watch you do it while you do it?
Well, that's somewhat of trade secrets, but sure. 150 gold then.
Deal.
All right.
Dirk will
So
pitch
he's
in.
like, all right. So you spend. It doesn't take an immense amount of time. He basically goes through. He has a sort of like semi-automated ball mill in the back that he just sort of like he dumps all the ingredients into it, turns it on. It makes whirring noises as a sort of steel barrel with steel balls in it continuously pounds the ingredients. It's like the he starts feeding in the everything, and eventually you get this sort of like slightly off white powder, so it's like a slightly off gray powder. It's like, all right, miss, here you go. I don't know if you're gonna have the same equipment. Otherwise, if you're gonna use a mortar and pestle, I'd say probably grind this to this level of consistency as he pulls out like a sample from the ball mill to indicate that it's roughly the roughly consistency of like fine cosmetics or incredibly fine fine flour. So this is roughly the consistency you're looking for. Mix this with any fragrant oil you wish, essentially, or suet or fat to basically suit your needs. So if you use fats, this stuff is only going to be shelf stable for roughly about a week, though. So keep that in mind. If you can find mineral oils, that would be best, and that will last up to a month. So here you go.
Thank you, good sir. Does that help Krishana track down what the XXX ingredients might be?
Well, it tells Krishana that this guy, the Davenports, may have multiple sources of their sunscreen at this point. And that this guy doesn't raise an eyebrow at all when you show him these components means that the components that make up the sunscreen are perhaps not super rare in of themselves. They're just expensive.
Okay, so it's nothing that would need to be under closed doors.
No, it's nothing. So the sunscreen bit is not anything. It does. There's no powder babies in there or anything along those lines.
Well, that's good to know.
What a relief.
Yes, it's like let's say first ingredient like cinnamon, second ingredient clove, third ingredient powdered children.
after that, just less than 2% of etc.
Exactly. All right, so you have some very like SPF 9000 sunscreen at this point. So you just have the base powder. You need to mix it with some sort of oil or grease at this point, essentially, to turn it into an ointment that you actually apply. So, but he suggests not doing that until you actually need it, because then it can go rancid at that point. So you probably want to do that just before you start using this stuff.
Guys, I think this sunscreen oil is a dead lead. There's nothing special about any of this.
Okay, but that I mean, it was right here, and it did seem like a good idea. I think we should definitely
I'm
come
saying
back.
the Davenports have done business. Like, you may ask after the Davenport servants, because Mack is saying, "Hey, like someone from the Davenport has been around here. I can smell their scent."
As far as we know, there's nothing at the Davenport house now, right? It's all wrecked there.
Well, no, the Davenport house has never been raided because they are nobles, and the police have never been able to actually. The police and the Sisters of Mercy were never able to directly tie the Davenports to. Well, never mind. At this point, yes, they have been tied to cult activity, because now that you've raided the main lair, there are like pictures of the Davenports all over the place. But yes, the Davenport mansion at this point is sitting empty. So you are correct.
Okay, so we wouldn't find the servants there.
That's correct. Or you might find the servants there. I don't know. So it's. I don't think I think when I've given you opportunities to check the Davenport mansion at this point, you've all passed on it, so you don't know at this point.
So
I think last I looked with the brooch going ethereal, but there was only one person in there, and it didn't look wrecked or anything.
That's correct. So you can always ask the Sisters of Mercy or the police to see if they've sent people over to the Davenport residence at this point. And if you do, eventually you find out that it's like, yes, we sent some officers over. The head butler and head maid are still there, but the Davenports are definitely not in residence. The maid and butler were more than happy to show us around the mansion, but their servants are not directly tied to any crimes at this point, so I am leery of just arresting them on suspicion. The captain.
They haven't done anything wrong as of yet, have they? Other than
no, yeah, it's like compliance. You have no hooks for their servants doing wrong things. Let's put it
exactly.
That way.
They might even just be brainwashed.
Well, they probably are, but we can be on the lookout for them. I think we probably do want to turn over some information to the police about the two bodies, and go to the college to get some spells to try some scrying on the young men.
Okay. Do you happen to have any questions about the Davenports to Mr. Crenshaw here, or are you passing on that?
I mean, I got nothing.
I don't really trust him to give us a straight answer, honestly.
Well, you can always use detect magic on him to see if he's under the thrall of like enchantment magic.
Let's do that. Like, we've been in here for 10 minutes. So can I just do a
okay, so you sort of surreptitiously step outside and step back in. Just like, I'm gonna go get a smoke, and then cast detect magic, come back in.
I cast detect smells.
Okay, well, I'm saying you still got the smell of like the Davenport's like lavender cologne or perfume.
I know, I just wanted to cast something.
Okay. So,
I'm gonna cast illusions.
So, yes, Mr. Crenshaw definitely has the strong indication that he's under some sort of mental compulsion at this point, some enchantment.
I wouldn't be surprised if this entire block does. Everybody that's going
in fact,
to
you
party.
basically just scan the road up and down, basically walk from shop to shop while you have it up for 10 minutes while you're taking a smoke. And you're just like, yeah, pretty much every shopkeeper up and down the street at this point is under some sort of mental thrall.
Yeah, they A
lot of the normal folk essentially that live around here aren't, but definitely every major shopkeeper up and down the streets is under a mental thrall at this point.
I mean, Davenports have had fucking how much time of free reign here to just do whatever they please?
Yeah, it's like their little town and everybody's one of their minions. I wonder if there's a way to free these people. Why don't we, when we're going to go to the college, why don't we ask them about that, if there's a way to dispel these enchantments? Maybe if there's a good way to do it in mass, we can do that on Wednesday.
Okay. So you head to the Imperial College of Mages. This impressive and august institution has been in London for hundreds of years. Trainers of hundreds of wizards, battle wizards. Over time, you walk onto the main campus grounds. Learned individuals in robes and scholarly hats wander to and fro, and you head to the Spell Emporium. You can see hundreds of scrolls stacked up neatly and alphabetized in shelf upon shelf, lining the wall behind a clerk who sits at a sort of like simple marble desk, waiting on individuals as they come in, directing them to where they need to go. A sort of red-haired, obviously Irish girl, it's like looks up at you with her sort of dappled, freckled face. Well, hello. Welcome to Imperial College.
Krishana, you want to take the lead on this one?
What do you want me to ask?
Well, we need to get some scrying spells, and let's just find out if there's anything. We can use telepathy to do this. If there's anything that we could use to unenchant the shop owners when they come in all together on Wednesday at the dance hall. If there's anything we could put in their drink or an area of effect spell, or what we could do to release these people from the thrall that they're under.
Greetings, Miss Library. How do I address you?
Oh, you can call me Mindy.
Hi, Mindy. I got 2 questions. One, would you be able to supply us with some scrying scrolls?
Oh, sure. Let's see. She snaps her fingers, and an unseen servant, an invisible servant, basically delivers scrolls to her desks. Like, all right. Well, these scrolls will be 150 pounds apiece. I have 3 of them in inventory at the moment.
I think we need all of them.
Wouldn't hurt to take all 3, I think.
Yeah.
They're not reusable, are they?
No, and we've got the money. I think this is a good place to use it. We don't need it now, we'll need it later.
Encourage local business, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and Al, just to make sure, you are a wizard, right?
I think she's a paladin, right?
Oh, she's a
No, you're
paladin.
thinking of Ismene, that was Clancy's roommate's character. There was an actual owl that was a wizard, but was not named Owl.
Lady Emma was the wizard, right?
Lady Emma was the wizard.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so she's out this week.
And I
All
think
right.
next week, too.
Let's see here. What other stuff?
So the thing about lifting the thrall, right?
So she's. Oh, if you're interested in, let's see, sagely advice about enchantment, why not check the sages at the College of Enchantment? She snaps her finger, and this sort of glowing hand, yellow hand appears, and starts pointing the direction off into the distance. Just follow this guide hand, and it will take you right there shortly.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay, Mindy, I have a second question.
Sure.
I'm going to be writing a book based in like the occult about vampires kidnapping and enthralling slaves and mind controlling them. Any information on how I can find about that?
Well, the School of Necromancy is that way as she sort of snaps into existence another glowing hand. And they'll be able to tell you anything you want to know about undead.
Okay, I got a third question. And she's just going to start flirting with her and trying to pick up on her.
Okay, roll persuasion.
That's another natural one for 10 total.
Okay, so it's like, she sort of shoos you away. It's like, sorry, I'm not interested in the fair sex.
Well, we got our two leads.
All right.
You gave it a fair shot.
All right, you let's just do the College of Enchantment first. You head over there. There's a good number of elves in here and gnomes. And is that a brownie? It's like, because it's like but two distinct face species basically seem to be make up most of the staff of this college. They're all of them basically seem to be staring each other down with sort of like moony eyes and sort of making sly winks at each other as Krishana basically sort of tries to make her sort of best come hither eyes towards another attractive college student at the moment. Eventually someone notices that you're sort of like standing at the threshold to this room full of college kids basically staring at each other with bedroom eyes, and it's like, well, what brings you lovely individuals to the College of Enchantment? A man who walks up to you who's like extremely handsome, like flowing, beautiful hair, chiseled jaw, like cut physique, looks like a giant triangle on like for at his chest, essentially pointing directly to his waist. He's like, "What can I do for you?"
He looks like he might respond to a paladin. Al, do you want to talk to him?
What race is Owl, by the way?
Owl? Oh, Owl. Sorry, I'm here, guys.
Hey, Ryan. So, yeah. Hey, Owl. What race is Owl, by the way?
I just realized I was on mute. I am so sorry. She is a variant Asimar. I was like,
sorry.
sure.
Okay, so let me scribble that down on you.
Yeah, sorry. Didn't even. I forgot I was totally on mute. I'm not sure what to ask this dude. I don't. Sorry.
Well, you're asking about how you can undo like vampire enchantment or just enchantment in general. For a lot of people, because you have a lot of people like that are all enthralled by the Davenports at this point. So it's like,
okay. So if theoretically there was just a group of people that were under all the same sort of spell, is there any way to effectively connect with all of them, or is there like it has to be individual basis in creating some sort of like some sort of what is the word? I'm so sorry. Antidote. Yeah.
well, Miss, you, Miss, could certainly do some work on being enchanting yourself, direct to business, I see, as suits a paladin. So, by the way, Al, what god do you worship? Do you worship?
I have no idea, man. I didn't think.
So what are you? I guess what are your religious beliefs? Just sort of like that. Am I a protector? Am I a vengeance paladin? So what sort of paladin are you?
Oh, would it be like a redemption sort of thing?
Okay, so yeah, you could be a redemption sort of paladin. So what are you are you redeeming someone else, or an order, or yourself at this point?
Myself. I used to be a criminal.
Okay, so you used to be a what? I didn't catch that.
Criminal.
Oh, you used to be a criminal. Okay,
yeah,
now I remember your backstory. Okay. All right, so you're a redemption paladin, you're redeeming yourself. So you, okay.
Sorry.
So, yes, if we're going to keep to business, how many people are you looking at, and how much are you looking to spend?
Oh, well, help that.
Getting rid of enchantments is a simple thing, depending on the power of enchantments. And the more people you enchant, the less power you tend to be able to exert over that larger group. So, I'm assuming if all this enchantment came from one source, perhaps that enchantment is not all that strong.
Okay, interesting to know. Dirk,
to confer with the group and say how many shopkeepers do you think? 40, 50? How many?
Saw at least about 30 individuals just on that
30.
street alone.
Why don't we get enough for 40? And even if we don't get everybody in one blast, if we get most of them, we'll break the power. So let's maybe get 40. Does that sound good, people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the easiest way of doing this basically is simply to have to dispel the enchantment using dispel magic. If you could gather up all these individuals basically within the precincts of what dispel magic can do, that would be one way of doing it. A more permanent way would be to use black fairy dust. Now, this is hard won and normally comes from the Fae. You would have to go talk to a black fairy. My understanding is that there's a well, it's not my understanding, it's from personal experience. There's a black fae in the South Ward that runs a brothel. Madame K, can't miss her. Essentially, she's quite a character. She runs K House basically at the very far end of Southwark.
So I think Dirk's
we basically study the enchanted magics of the Fae. Often consult with her. She can lend her like Fae immunities to others, essentially through her black fairy dust.
So Dirk's gonna confer with telepathy. I think we need to try and get that area of effect thing to get some immediate effect, and then we can also follow up with her about making a more permanent solution. So I think we need to do both of these things. What do you guys think?
Sounds like a plan.
So basically, we're looking for something that hits 40 people, and one of that is the Fae's area of effect.
So one of them is like Madame K, who is a black fairy, can give you black fairy dust. Probably for a favor of some sort.
I can go to Madame K. I'd like to speak to her.
Or alternately, you can buy basically dispel magic scrolls, essentially at 150 gold per pop, to cast dispel magic. So,
yeah, let's do that. Sorry.
Well, if they're all conveniently inside the beer hall, maybe you only need one or two. If they're scattered all over the street, you need like 40 of them.
I'm good at holding people together, so
It's like, if you are really keen on casting Dispel Magic multiple times, you may want to simply buy a wand of Dispel Magic. The enchanters, the Abjurers Guild might be able to sell you one. It won't be cheap, though. You're probably looking at £1,500.
Hey, guys, I think clearing out the rot from the city is going to take some time. We might just want to kill the base first.
You're probably right.
But if they're still alive, they can just undo the work we did. Either way,
Probably-
whatever you guys prefer.
I mean, it's a useful tool to have, especially for someone like yourself, Dirk.
It'll probably be a wise investment.
All right. So one of the handsome wizard in front of you snaps his fingers. Another golden hand pointer guides you over to the Abjurers College of Abjuration. There's all sorts of like super angry looking individuals with stern faces and like starched robes wandering around this place.
Before she leaves, she's casting Friends on the dude and saying, Owlet is a fine enchantress. Leave her alone.
He chuckles. He chuckles and casts friends back on you. It's like, so long as we're going to be charming to each other, miss. Essentially, please feel free to stay. Essentially, would you like a drink?
Ooh, I would. And she will curtsy and join him for a drink.
Okay, so Krishana disappears for the rest of your time at the college, pretty much, as she's in her natural habitat with basically flirty men and women who all enjoy their handsomeness and or beauty with each other, essentially, and endlessly flirting the afternoon away. So,
what could possibly go wrong here? So we're gonna go to abjuration for the
okay, so you end up in the starched robe college as it's like, man, this is the anti-fun college. It's like almost the exact opposite of the enchanters college. They're just sort of like angry looking men and women with like very severe looking hair. it's like isn't that painful to have your hair pulled back that tight? It's like and why shave your head almost down to like within a millimeter of your scalp? It's just like, that's just unflattering. It's like everybody looks like they have a permanent scowl attached to their face. Like, be gone. Like, I abjure you.
So Dirk will go ahead and ask, and he'll go ahead and pay for the wand of dispel magic. So Dirk will go and say, we've got a number of people that are under a thrall that we need to release, and we believe the easiest thing would be to get a wand. Is it possible that you could help us with this?
It might not be possible to help you with this.
There is that.
Oh my god.
Is there something that would work better? We were told that here at the Abjuration College, you would probably have the best solution, and that's why we came, because we want the best solution. Is there some other place that we should be?
No, you have come to the right place. We can rid the world of all other magics. Essentially, our college is obviously superior.
Oh, how wonderful!
But what in particular are you looking for?
Well, we've got some people that look to have been placed under a thrall by a vampire. So, do you think that a wand of dispel magic would free them from the thrall?
I believe it could. You see, he snaps his finger and waves another young wizard woman over. They have a quick conversation whispered conversation between each other. She heads off. Yes, I believe we have a wand of dispel magic available. 1,800 gold, though. Do you have it?
Of course. Why would we be here? I had understood that it should be about 1,500. But we can go ahead and pay 1,800 if you could take the extra as a tip.
Well, that's mighty generous of you. What other information would you need? We have various wards that will abjure the undead, if that would interest you. Keep you from getting bitten in the neck.
That sounds like a
far more useful than a holy symbol, as Owl sort of scowls at the sky.
That sounds like a very useful thing indeed. We've been running into a lot of ghouls.
Well, I have two options for you. Either invisibility to the undead, So lesser undead will not be able to see you, or these charms. As he sort of pulls out like a catalog from underneath his cloak, these and flips to a particular page. This thing has like easily like probably 400, 500 pages on it in it. He flips over to these abjuration charms. Essentially, would be good upon breaking them and dunking them in holy water. You would be protected essentially from. The undead would have a hard time assaulting you, very equivalent to the protections you will receive from protection from evil. And you will be protected from any mental influence, essentially, while these protection charms are in effect.
Oh,
They
that
last
is
roughly about an hour. I can sell these to you for 150 pounds apiece. I have 3 of them.
I'll take one, please.
And I also have 2 scrolls of invisibility to undead, 75 gold apiece.
I want the little charm thingy, please.
All right. He snaps his finger again and sends off another like junior wizard to go track these things down for you.
I think we need all of those guys. So there's 3 charms.
Okay, so you have 3 protection from evil charms, and then 2 scrolls of invisibility to undead, which is effectively a first level spell.
So you guys all okay pitching in on that?
How much you need?
Maybe 150. If everybody pitches in 150, I think we've got it, and we can decide who gets what later. But being protected against mental influence, if we're going to go around the vampires, may be really, really important. So we can buy this stuff now and tactically decide how to use it later.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying I think protection from evil spell lasts 10 minutes. The charms are going to last an hour.
Oh, okay.
So that's the difference.
Okay. Still
Yeah,
a nice
so-
bonus. Anything else here that we should know about?
All right. Looks like your wand is arriving. As there's this sort of simple ash wand with a silver tip. It's like.
And then, how many charges does it have?
It has 3 charges per day. Recharges 1d3 charges. 1 to 3 charges per sunset. So, take care if you drain it to the last charge. There's a possibility, just like with all wands, that it will disintegrate. So.
That sounds awesome. We will do our best to take good care of it. It has obviously been crafted by a true professional.
Well, they're actually crafted by the Enchanters Guild to our specifications, but we don't make many of the items we sell here. We just do the theory crafting, as it were. All right. What can I not help you with next?
I think that we needed to go to, was it the necromancy college that we wanted to go to?
The docent here sort of raises one basically bushy eyebrow at you as soon as you say necromancer. It's like, I can't recommend going over there. They're a shifty lot, and there's as soon as put you in a petri dish, put you in a tube to study you as basically help you out. But sure.
That. So, well, guys, do you think now that we have the charms and the scrolls, do we even need to go over there?
Over where?
To the necromancy college.
Well, Krishana was mainly the one interested in it. She'll eventually find her way over there, but.
Oh, okay. So we might need to go rescue her, but we didn't really have anything over there. Okay, that sounds fair. If we were going to have to deal with vampires, is there anything else you can recommend?
Bring a cleric or a paladin, but it looks like you have 2.
We are lucky enough to work with the Sisters of Mercy, and they have been of great use. Thank you very much. We hope to see you again soon in good health.
Okay, do you go and pick up Krishana at this point?
I think so. Does
Or
have
do you
anything
consider
else
Krishana a big girl and she can basically find her own way back?
How far can Dirk do telepathy? Can he just call for her and see if he gets an answer?
You're sort of finding your telepathy doesn't work very well on the campus at all. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of wards all over the place. So you're quickly realizing, unless you can actually see the person, your telepathy is not working.
I think the college may not be able to handle a whole day of Krishana, so maybe we should track her down. We don't want to
Alright,
leave
you
it yet
arrive,
another thing smoking in ruins, right?
You arrive at the College of Enchantment again. Krishana seems to have gathered together a small bevy of attractive men and women that she's having an animated conversation with as she laughs wholeheartedly and every so often plays a short tune on her mandolin to the enchantment of the various people around. They're sort of like stars and rainbows of magic, sort of like shooting off from the scene as your sort of looks like you're looking at some sort of shoujo manga with basically weird stars and hearts basically sparkling out of various people's eyes and ears and heads. The Krishana seems severely disappointed when you arrive and say, "Okay, we got to leave now."
Like, oi, come on! I just flew away the stars and pixie dust. Come on.
I was going to invite this gentleman to help me out, Madame K's.
And I think Dirk's going to say, "Well done, Krishana."
I'm sorry. It's like we love you, Krishana, but we really can't. We lost at least 4 or 5 wizards last time. The time we went to Madame K's and then didn't come back. So the headmaster has forbade us to go to Madame K's from this point on. Maybe we'll convince. Maybe in about 2 months we'll convince her that it's okay to go again.
I bid you good day, and I will maybe see you again.
Oh, do come back. There's a sort of like like a half circle of like smiling pretty people basically waving you goodbye.
That's so nice. Well done, you got in really good with them. Did you find out anything interesting?
Okay, roll investigation.
Do you want Dirk to roll investigation or Krishana?
No, it's Krishana that rolls investigation. She's been doing she's been effectively having small talk with like Imperial College people for the better part of an hour at this point.
That was a terrible roll. I got an 8 total.
Okay, so apparently you were just basically passing the time. But you do find out the following because it's just sort of hubbub going about the college recently. The Necromancer's college is supposedly has great interest in the whatever otherworldly summoning that happened in Southwark probably about a month ago, and they've put out a reward to anybody that can deliver them more information about it.
How much?
It's like Krishana's like I wasn't paying attention at the time. They said a reasonable amount.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm not sure they're the people that we want to give the information to. They might be trusted to do just the wrong thing with it. Do you think?
Exactly so. That's the other part that I don't know. It's like it doesn't seem like most of the other colleges trust the Necromancer's college students at all.
Do you think the Necromancers would give me information on how to free the thralls?
They would probably have information on how to create thralls. I don't know about freeing them. So if this is the docent guy that you were talking to earlier. It's like they might have information on how to create thralls. So if you wanted to contest wills to gain control over a thrall, they might be able to give you that information for a price. But I don't think they had anything. They'll have anything for you on how to free people from being mesmerized.
Well, let's see how this wand works and talk to Madam K. And
okay.
Then if that isn't working, we can always come back here if they haven't burned it down. They'll still be here.
So all right, fair enough. So Madame K's first or the beer hall on Wednesday first?
Do we have time to go to Madame K's first?
Yeah, you have a whole other day in between, so yes, you could go to
Yeah,
Madame K tomorrow evening.
I think
So,
so. There may be
you
people
check
in.
it. You check around essentially about Madame K's K house. Once you head back to South Florida, it's apparently it opens at like 10 in the evening. So it's like you could go this evening, but you've had a full day's junket today, so you're wondering if you should get some rest and go tomorrow. So your call.
It sounds like they've had some wizards that disappeared over there, so it may be well for us to have all of our faculties when we arrive. What do you think?
Okay, so tomorrow evening it is. So you take a cab back. Everybody spend a gold for a cab ride on the way back. You arrive at your sort of your each of your sort of individual domiciles. Wake up tomorrow morning to pick up your investigation again. And is there anything you wish to do during the day this time? Maybe use your scrolls now, and then go to Madame K's in the evening, or what do you want to do? So you're scrying scrolls now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Okay. So you gather, everybody spend 5 golds for a private room as you gather up at one of your favorite watering holes and purchase a private room to go do your scrying business while everybody is present. So Mack pulls out the crystal ball, plops it on the table, puts it on its little velvet pillow as who wants to cast the scrying spell.
I think that's going to be Krishana, isn't it?
I can try. My family has a
roll
little
an
bit to do.
Arcana check.
Maybe Al can assist.
Yeah.
First roll was a 9.
Okay.
Can I give him guidance on that?
Okay, sure. So go ahead and roll the guidance.
And then with the guidance, they automatically get to do, if it's because this is a check, right? So they get to, because I've got those special guidances, and they get to re-roll and pick which one of the rolls they want.
Okay. So roll 2d8 and take the better of the 2 rolls to add to yours.
I got a 3 for guidance, and Okay, yeah, I guess that works.
All right, you got a +8, so your 8 goes up to 16. You have Al and you are sort of like sitting directly opposite from each other, sort of both staring into the crystal ball at this point. Its clear surface becomes cloudy and misty, and as the mist parts, let's see here. You could see a pair of boys that, while fraternal in relationship, basically are probably as close to twins as brothers can be. They seem to be almost direct mirror images of each other. They're both well dressed in tails and coats and leggings. At this point, they seem to be sitting in a sitting room somewhere. There's sort of sunlight showing through a heavily stained glass, a beautiful ornate stained glass window with the Davenport double falcon crest on it. The glass itself is impossible to actually see through. It's just it's warped and dappled, but it does let the light through. You can see, however, there's one of the what is it? I need to look up her name here quickly. You can see Samantha Davenport basically sitting in a high-backed chair, doing some knitting, using like black and red yarn. She seems to be making a sweater or something something that looks like a sweater. And the light from the windows, which is obviously sunlight, does not seem to be burning her. So you're guessing perhaps the windows are enchanted or someplace. Something's like, okay. And now I need a wisdom save from Owl and Krishana.
Oh, great. Do I press wisdom? Or
Yeah. So your wisdom saving throw.
Yes,
I got a 15.
And they here.
save or these. Oh, yeah, exactly. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So
Is
what
this
is
a charm?
So what is Owl saving throw?
1 sec. It didn't look.
Oh, yeah, it's still circling. It says question mark.
Weird. Can I roll again? Or do I press the button again?
You've got a +3. If you want to just roll a d20 and add 3, you could do that.
Okay. Yeah, let me do that. Yeah. Roll. No, God, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Tech issues happen.
Roll. Roll.
Is this a charm?
I don't. 1 sec. I'm just gonna. Yeah, 9, 10, 11. 12 total with the +3.
12. Okay. So the Owl gets a blank look. Well, actually, technically, Krishana and Owl both sort of have a blank, faraway look on their faces. They're obviously peering into the crystal ball at the moment. But Owl gets a blanker look on her face as she grabs the crystal ball, sticks it down the front of her breastplate, and then runs out of the room.
Can I try and go after her?
Right. Yes. Roll athletics check. Al, are you one of the types of celestials that can fly?
I don't think so.
No, I'm saying that one of the Azamar types can actually have wings if you took the right feat. So I'm just asking.
I don't think I grabbed it.
Okay. All right. So Al basically stuffs the crystal ball in her bra and basically runs out of the room, giving herself a third boob. Okay. So.
I got a 14.
Sure, you point at she's like almost at the front door of the inn at this point as you let loose the dispel magic. Okay, so roll d20 for dispel magic. Okay, no problem. Al is sort of like standing at the front door to the tavern and go as the like all the bar patrons are looking at her, and turns around and looks back at the bar patrons. Like, what is this pressing in the center of my chest? And she's like, she notices she has a third boob at this point. Is like, what the fuck happened?
Okay. Come on. Do we know? Are you sure? But she's like walking back, just very, very cautious. Are you sure about that? Do we have to talk about it? We can't just walk by it.
We can't just like conveniently overlook what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
As Mack is trying to basically figure out how to get the crystal ball out of your bra.
Yeah, let's do that in the private room, and plus we've got Krishana, who also looks a little blank. I think we need to address her as well. So
Krishana just like wakes up, just like something tried to take over our minds. As she holds out her hand for the crystal ball to Celeste at this point. I'm sorry, to Owl. Sorry.
And I cast suggestion.
Well, she's not charmed anymore. You could just ask her for it.
Please give it back. I don't care what you did.
you.
We're dealing with some very powerful magic. We need to work together, guys.
All right.
Yes.
So it's like
You know,
Krishana's of the opinion like this item actually has a curse on it of some sort that will put you underneath the thrall of the Davenports or worse. You're not quite sure what the other or worse is, but so you felt some sort of like powerful entity trying to take a grip of your mind. So
this is the one that we found down there in their lair, so that would be par for the course with these guys. So maybe we should, in our spare time at some point, take this back to the college and trade it out for a different one.
Okay. Well, it's either this or a basin of holy water. Which is what Krishana says. The other option is a basin of holy water. So, we personally have enough holy water to do that. We just need a bucket or a wash pad. So why don't we get one of those?
Okay.
All right. So Mack carefully puts the crystal ball back away. Okay, so Al definitely felt some sort of like otherworldly presence, male presence to be sure. It's like it's not so perhaps one of the Davenports, perhaps something else, but it was eldritch and ancient and completely off-putting. It's just like ugh.
Yeah, no, just the very deep feeling of wanting to hide under some water for a good hour.
Yes. Krishana basically just shrugs it off. It's like, well, wasn't able to get his hooks into my mind, but yeah. I have other people basically that root around in there instead, so because Krishana's a warlock, of course. So.
Well, I think that if we do this again, we may want to utilize one of those charms.
Okay, but the other useful thing you found at this point is so you're guessing they're in a probably country mansion at this point, probably out of town. There's nowhere in London basically that would have strong sunlight shining through a window because of this continuous smog. So, or the vapors, as it were, that cover London. So they have to be out in the country somewhere. So maybe you may want to go to City Hall or something and see if the Davenports own other properties.
That's what I was thinking. If he's a Lord Davenport, then a lot of his property may be covered under an entail, in which case it would be thoroughly documented there.
Yes, so it's like any basically hereditary properties will basically show up in a ledger somewhere because like nobles are all about keeping records. So okay, so there's that. So you have a bit of information that the Davenports are out in the countryside at this point. Or at least Samantha Davenport and the twins are out in the countryside.
And they're alive, and they look well, and that was huge.
And they look well, yes. They seem to be playing some sort of board game involving marbles and tin soldiers. So you're not quite sure what exactly that is, but they seem to be enjoying themselves and seem to be in good health.
Okay, so is the so we're thinking about going to Madame K's tonight, and the party is tomorrow. Is that right?
All right. Is there anything else you would like to investigate during this day? Like
there's
checking
the
in
city, and I was thinking if the wand recharges, we could use a charge on, like, if we could get 2 or 3 of the shop owners, maybe we could go ahead and use it on them and see how it works. And then
if you use your dispels during this evening, essentially at the party, that seems to be when everybody's gathered together. That seems to be your best bet to catch the most people with single cast of the spell.
So that's tonight. That's not tomorrow night.
That's right. That is tomorrow night. So.
Okay, so that's okay. Because I was thinking we were
going
to Madame K's tonight, and then we were going to the party tomorrow night. Is that?
That's right.
Okay.
The other things you can investigate while you're in Southwark is the dead horses.
Oh yeah.
I got that motor in pestle if anybody wants me to try and craft a potion.
All right, so if you want to buy ingredients, essentially, we can retcon. You bought some ingredients from the apothecary, Crenshaw's, for 25 gold.
Why don't we do that, and why don't I use the wand on him and see if we can enthrall him?
Okay.
And if it works, then we'll know that tomorrow night it will be a good idea to use it at the party. And if it doesn't work, that we should have something else.
No, fair enough.
That's a solid idea. Actually, like that.
You unenchant Crenshaw. Crenshaw looks exactly the same after he's been disenchanted. It's just like yes, the Davenports and their servants are excellent customers. I'm surprised you didn't ask about them earlier. Essentially, you seem to be very interested in them. May I know your particular interest in the Davenports?
No.
All right. Well, your private business is your private business. I will not pry further.
Dirk has detect magic and see if he's still
healing potion ingredients. Say again.
Can Dirk malinger around and cast detect magic again and see if it looks like the thrall is cleared?
Thrall is cleared. We're just going to assume you had detect magic up, and it's like yes, that's what enchantment magic is cleared.
That's awesome.
So if he was being prevented from saying things, he won't be anymore. Let's put it that way.
Okay. So let's just So guys, what do you think? Do you think that we should?
That being said, basically, he actually genuinely thinks that they're good customers. You can tell that with no insight roll at all. Essentially, he just assumes that they're good customers that come by often and buy his stuff.
Maybe we can confer without him knowing. Maybe we can tell him that yes, everyone speaks very highly of them, and we are sure they are fine and respectable. But even the most respectable people can accidentally get entangled in things which are not that pleasant. And so
that is very disturbing to hear.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure they're safe and that everybody's okay. But
yes. Shh. Well, I'm all for keeping people safe. So, what can I help you with, cousins?
So,
or deputies. Let's say deputies.
Yeah.
At least he seems.
So, you guys would be interested in the healing potions?
So, he packages up the required material components. So, it's like 25 gold per healing potion you want to make. You can crank out one per day. Using the magic mortar and pestle. So,
how many of these do you guys want me to try and crank out?
As many as you can.
Because
why not?
Today, and I'd say that however many we.
Well, I'm saying you can only get the mortar and pestle allows you to crank out one per day. It normally takes you like 2 or 3 days to make a potion, but the magic mortar and pestle allows you to create one per day.
So
I'll get one, sir, and I may be back.
Can we ask Crenshaw if there's ever been anything that their servants have asked for that seemed unusual? Or if everything always seems to be above board?
Well, let's see here. Well, they did say there was a wood woad supposedly, which is some sort of dark fairy that was mucking about their estate out in the country. They were asking me if there was an herbicide, perhaps, that I could provide them. So I provided them this herbicide.
Wood what?
That's
wood
awesome.
woad, like WODE woad.
So Dirk's gonna say maybe it has to do with Madame Gay, right? But she's a dark fairy.
Maybe.
So that's good to know that they did that. And then also,
you can roll. You can roll. What is it? Nature or Arcana to know what a wood woad is. Okay. As the exact type of fairy.
Oh, I actually have nature. So.
Okay, yeah, I do not. So.
I got another natural 20.
You're amazing.
For a 19.
Okay.
Actually, no. 22. I haven't adjusted my macro yet.
A wood woad is also known as a dryad.
Oh, I know what those are.
So, i.e. a tree spirit.
Woohoo, I got a 22.
But you're of the opinion, essentially, that you've actually run into dryads before. Basically, they could be they can be furious at you if you are destroying their wood or their tree, but they generally tend to be not evil. So it's
No,
like
they're not evil. They're just
actually killing
protective.
one basically would not be considered like kosher for most Fae. Let's put it that way.
Would that have any effect on anyone of elven heritage?
If you have elven heritage, you know basically that dryads are friendly Fae, so they're part of the summer court.
Just be nice
you
to
would
them.
not
Don't break
basically.
their shit.
That would be like killing random good citizens of the Fae court.
Well, I was just wanting to make sure that they weren't going to use it on the boys.
Yeah, but as far as humans are concerned, essentially all Fae are in the realm of like your devil people, so therefore you should be destroyed.
So the stuff that they got might have been.
So that the fact that
the
the fact that Crenshaw is willing to give them an herbicide to go kill a dryad is like par for the course for the British Empire. Let's put it that way.
Oh well, that too, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
And it might also be harmful to the boys. I mean, just because they said it was for a wood doesn't mean that's what they were going to use it for.
Correct.
That's what I was thinking. And then also, let's ask Crenshaw. There's some really unusual things going on right now. We've got these horses out there that are all of a sudden covered in maggots and corpses keep turning up. Do you have any theories about what that might be?
I must say that after seeing that the corrupting influence, basically, of dark arts being applied to the Southward, I have to assume there's something grim has escaped, essentially, from the hells into the realm of men. I'm hoping the Sisters of Mercy will put an end to it quickly, or the good constables of London will be able to find it before it does harm. But so long as it exists, I would expect essentially signs of corruption to continue.
That sounds very well thought, sir. Is there anything else that you can think of that we should know as we look into, what's happening around here?
Well, it's like I'm of the opinion, and many in our alchemical arts believe that powdered silver is good to ward off evil.
I can kind of attest to that. Kind of.
Do you have any powdered silver?
I do have about a pound of it for as a catalyst for some of my reagent work. I could sell you half a pound of it if that interests you. So
yes,
that would be 300 gold. Okay. A good stout handful to the face of evil should at least get it to withdraw.
I think we should give him 350. Thank him for his cooperation and his sage counsel.
If you wish to be candor about it, I'm not one to refuse.
Well, look forward to your further patronage. It's like the second time I've seen you in 2 days, so it's like I hope to do further business with you.
It is always a pleasure, sir.
As we walk out the door, I will look at Tree and be like, yeah, silver, it's not like I just fall over and die, but it's not the most pleasant thing.
We're not going to throw it on you, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Just want to let you know that it still kind of holds up. Like that myth of, silver is the bane of all evil. It's kind of true. It really depends on what you're fighting.
Can't hurt. So we were thinking about going to City Hall and looking for the location of the estate. And do you think that there's anybody else who can give us some information about Madame K's before we go and just waltz in the door?
Perhaps the
K-House is a super popular destination for the semi-well-to-do in Southwark. Their clientele tends to be Fae. They tend to have relatively fewer humans attending that, but that's not to say there aren't any. So maybe about 50-50 rather than 80-20 like it is in other parts of London.
If that's the case, then I suggest we go talk to Madame Draconis. She might know a bit more than the average folk.
Is that the mother of the boys?
Aye.
Oh, and we could let her know that we believe they're still alive. She seemed very weak.
All right, so Madame Madame Dakotas is more than happy to receive you and is pleased to hear that. Oh, I'm so pleased as Punch that you have found that my boys are still alive. I hope that you the best success in returning them.
We're working on it.
We're definitely going to do what we can. It looks like we're going to go talk to Madam K, and we wondered if you can give us any information about what we need to be careful of there, what what we might want to ask her.
Well, Madame Draconis doesn't know anything about a brothel, but the or a pleasure house, but
well, I
just
thought you might
around
know about a dark fairy, right?
She ponders this a second. I do not actually know much about the Shadow Court or the Winter Court. I'm a Summer Fae myself.
Well,
but I would warn you against basically trafficking with their kind. They would as soon basically see you enthralled forever or imprisoned within the Shadowfell to their dark desires. Do not trust dark fae lest you be betrayed.
Well, the reason we're looking for one is because apparently they have stuff that's good for disenchanting people on Mack.
That's true. Essentially, dark fae fairy dust essentially is a potent charm against enchantment.
Might you have any advice for how I might get some from her at all? Anything that might help?
She must
even just advice.
She must give it to you willingly. For to take anything by force from fays to invite being cursed.
Do you think she'd be interested in a trade?
Learn that lesson the hard
way.
way.
We're always keen on making deals, aren't we? So
we
yes,
do have those.
If you're able to make a good deal with her, a good bargain, and be careful of making this bargain. Make sure negotiate so that the bargain favors you and does not have an open-ended terms. So
that seems very good advice. Is there anything you can think of that she might want?
Dark Fae are especially of the type. Basically, I assume Madame K are hedonistic creatures that are that flavor pleasures of the flesh and fantasy. So if you can entertain her by whatever means, I'm sure she would be more than willing to bargain with you.
Maybe we need a Krishana Dirk duet.
With you,
yes.
Whatever it is, I don't know how much I could help, so I'll stay out of this. I messed with the Fae once before, and look where it got me.
I don't mind entertaining the lady, but sir.
Well, I was thinking that we're both bards.
And she obviously looks down at you.
We're both bards, so I was thinking that perhaps we could play for her.
Okay.
We'll think about that. Anything else we need to ask her, guys?
Well, you've given her your status report, and she seems to be happy with that. Well, there is no making the dust. It's just like black fairy dust comes from black fairies. Just like Tinkerbell.
Okay, well, let's wrap up with her if there wasn't anything else, and maybe we have time to hit City Hall before we go over to...
Okay, so you hit City Hall. You have to grease some palms. It's 50 gold. So whoever wants to pay the 50 gold, pay the 50 gold. They pull the records, and yes, the Davenports have a mansion, maybe about 8-9 miles out of town, on the sort of like southern hills.
Okay, so we can get directions to it or some sort of a description of it.
Yes.
The property is or something.
Exactly. So you, the clerk is able to draw you a quick map and show you exactly where it is. So.
Do they have any other
So it's directly outside of the town of Penrose, essentially. Probably maybe about no more than 200, 300 people in Penrose. It's a small town.
Do they have any other properties listed?
Let me see here. He while he's pulling the records, yes, essentially they own a beer hall in the north end of London. Let's see here. There's their primary residence that's listed here. But you said you already knew that, and let's see what else.
I know how those families are. They all marry
They
each
apparently
other and
have
end up
an
with a bunch.
import-export. There's a Davenport import-export business that is listed here in the registry that's near the docks on the western side of town, on the north side of the Thames.
Oh, do you have an address?
Sure, he scribbles it down for you. All right. Yes, and here is their office essentially for Davenport import-export.
That seems like a good clue, guys. Let's give him a tip too, and thank him for his time. He's quite helpful.
Yes.
So I think, what time is it now?
Well, it could be whatever time you want. Let's put it this way. So, what do you want to move on to next?
Well, maybe we could go check out the import-export business before we go to Madam Case, because you said she wasn't going to be opening up till like 10 p.m. So.
That is correct. So you head over. Everybody spend 5 gold on a coach over to the far end of town. Essentially, you are effectively on the east end of town in Southwark. So it's a long coach ride, almost like 30, 40 minutes. You eventually arrive. Your Johnny Cab eventually just gorges you out into the western end of the Thames. The numerous barges seem to be loading and unloading cargo here. Let's see here. Hold on a second while I pull up a map of London.
I don't know how late we're going to run tonight, but I'm fading fast here.
Okay. Well, we'll close up at 9 like we normally do, so hopefully we can just finish this last bit off and then.
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Okay, so all right, so I need to reverse that because for whatever stupid reason I thought the seaside was west on London, but it's east. Okay, so heading past Greenwich and Barking, heading into Dagenham, you eventually head to the river port that's where the River Thames essentially heads off into the headwater, well, sort of the delta, basically, that leads out into the sea, into the English Channel. There's a number of sort of blackened warehouses here that have been sort of like stained over time by the constant smog, to where the wood that they were made out of, which was probably a chestnut brown and made of oak before, is now a ruddy black, essentially, that makes everything look like it's made of ebony. As you do your best not to rub shoulders against buildings and rub off the soot onto your clothing at this point, there's heavy traffic all around you as porters and dock workers and warehouse men run and go hither and thither, carrying heavy loads on and off of ships that have landed here at the river port. The Davenport import-exports sort of sits like at the far eastern end of the docks here, and sort of sitting off alone, maybe about by 30 or 40 yards away from other buildings, leaving a large sort of denuded gap of like what appears to have been at burnt out buildings, as if some fire had gone on here that had burnt the buildings that were in between. And all that's left is just like charred bits of timber and wood sort of like sticking up like broken teeth into the fog. Everything's sort of like damp around here as the smell of like the fresh water that mixes with the sea basically hits your nostrils. Davenport Import and Export has a large blue wooden sign with the Davenport crest outlined in gold and silver painted upon it. As you head for the door, there's a delivery bell here, and then when you check the door itself, it seems to be locked. There might be some people in the back. Maybe you should ring the bell if you want to be served.
I think, yes, let's ring the bell.
Okay. You ring the bell once, twice, 3 times. Hold your britches, I'm coming. The door, several bolts get thrown on the door, and the door wrenches open as this black-haired, bespectacled clerk in a blue uniform peers at you out into the fog. It's like, all right, what you waiting for? Come on in. So, are you here? Are you picking up or dropping off? Well, no, I'll speak at once.
This is why it's always good for us to plan before we go into things.
We're picking up, please.
All right. Let's see. Do you have your contract of lading? What exactly are you picking up?
What are we picking up?
I think we're picking up the usual for the beer hall.
All right. Excellent. That's tomorrow evening. I didn't see you ride up in a drover's wagon. Essentially, that'll be several kegs and crates. So unless you plan on carrying it out by hand, I suggest you go wave down a drover. So i.e. a cargo man at this point. So.
That sounds good. There's been a problem with a lot of dead horses in the road, but let's go find a drover.
Okay, you head on out. There looks like a drover here as part of the Drovers Guild. He's he has his sign out with his rate. It doesn't look like horrible. It's about 75 pounds. So to deliver cargo up to all the way on the other side of town. But there's no return trips. Another 75 pounds essentially for return service. If you need to have something delivered back to the docks.
Guys, does anybody have invisibility to poke around in this place since we got in and see what's going on in the back?
I don't think anybody has rogue abilities here.
Okay. I thought you had something when you went incorporeal and went into the Davenport house.
Oh yeah, how many times can I use that a day?
It's like once per day. So
I can get in and look around, but it might be harder for me to get out.
Well, it lasts a couple minutes, so you can basically just poke around as a ghost and come back out.
Yeah, you want to take a look and see if there's anything that looks like it's illegal going in there, because if it is, we can have the cops bust the place. But if it looks like it's, if the problem...
Conveniently enough, since you're Ethereal, you can literally look into boxes at that point. You don't even have to break open boxes. So the thing that stands out to you, other than like normal, there are several tons of beer and what is it? There's a crate full of cookies. There's another crate full of salted herring. And the thing that stands out to you the most, however, is the 3 caskets that are sort of like cleverly disguised as sort of longer crates, essentially, that have grave dirt in them. So this is obviously this is quote unquote the travel arrangements for the Davenports. Go take a sea trip. Let's put it that way. They have caskets available.
All right, I'm looking for paper. Well, I don't know. Yeah, paperwork would tie them to anything illegal.
And anything that looks
there
like
doesn't
it
seem to be
matches the
anything
ledger,
illegal
right?
in like you search like 80% of the crates in here by walking through them. It's like there's if unless like lamp oil, like unless whale oil and pickled herring are illegal, essentially there's nothing illegal about what they're transporting. Effectively they just have their own like their own coffins here in case they need to go traveling, apparently.
So there's nothing that seems to match up with the XXX NNN entries in the ledger.
Not here, no.
Okay.
Is
But
the office
you have found essentially this is where they're keeping some like alternative travel arrangements here, essentially, if they ever need to be shipped out by ship.
Yeah, this would be a good thing to discombobulate, but not right now. So let's get her out safely.
Okay. So Krishana goes and meets up with you again on the outside. The talking to it's like, all right, so you got a drover for this stuff. I can go get some of my porters here to help you load it on.
I'll go get a drover.
All right, so all right, you need to pay 75 gold
right?
for this guy to deliver this to the beer hall. So you notice some of the boxes have XXX and NN on them.
I need to go take those to the beer. I think we need to open those up, guys.
Out on the road, not in here.
Yeah, not in here, but either out on the road or when we get to the beer hall.
Okay. All right, so the drover. Do you have the drover basically detour and drop off the stuff earlier than the beer hall?
I think I would just ask Dirk to take a peek in one as we're riding along, like just sort of feign take inventory as we're going along.
All right, so between Krishana and Dirk, you take a peer at the stuff in the back while you're sort of riding on the drover's cart with that stuff. It's like drover's like, you're paying me to transport this stuff. I'm not going to ask any questions if you want to open it up. So it's like, go ahead.
Making sure that it's what we're supposed to have in there.
All right. Well, that makes sense as anything else. So knock yourself out. All right. So you pry open some of the crates. There's effectively a lot of party favors in here, like poppers and then one of the boxes has like several bags of coffee in it. But you dig under the bags of coffee and you find there's sort of like a crystalline coffin in here with a person in it.
That's not good.
And then you check one of the barrels and there's a kid stuffed in there. And they all seem to be under some sort of magical suspended animation. And they do not seem to be breathing.
These may be appetizers.
Do you think we should take these to the Sisters of Mercy? Or the college?
The sisters.
I think
Okay, you redirect them to the shipment over to the Sisters of Mercy. They you unload everything and like break open all the barrels and boxes mechs marked with XXX and NN. The Sisters of Mercy immediately go, these are ghouls or vampires. We should destroy them. My divine sense indicates that. So the Mistress of Battle is out there sort of looking sternly at these incredibly pale people in these sort of crystal boxes. It's like, so I assume the Davenports are shipping in more vampires at this point.
Is that what this is? Well, at least we know what it is now.
So these are ghouls to be minions for the...
So they might be, these two, as she points to, like the child and a woman. These are vampire kin, essentially a lesser form of vampire before you're fully turned. This one is a ghoul.
Okay.
Well, that you do the honors. I think you're probably better than me at this.
Yeah.
All right. There's like like the Mistress of Battle shows effectively no mercy as she just pulls out a big ass two-handed sword and cleaves each of these individuals in twain. Like blood splatters everywhere. It's kind of grim because they look like normal human beings otherwise.
Yeah, they used to be, but I think it's too late. Do you think,
The,
guys, that we should tell her
the
about the?
vampire can let loose this horrible screech as they die.
Do you think we should tell her about the 3 caskets in the import export, and maybe they have additional stuff there?
Agreed.
Well, I can't assume, essentially, since you already searched most of the warehouse, I'm assuming that there might be a couple more of these individuals hidden in among the other goods. But I'll look into it.
Well, if they're not there now, they should be coming. We found a ledger that shows that these shipments come in regularly.
Okay. Well, some of my Inquisitor investigators were looking into the girl that you had found in the alleyway dumpster. After doing some talking to the dead, essentially with the clerics tell me that she apparently saw she saw what the girl states that she saw a beautiful pale-skinned woman with dark raven hair discussing something with a huge brute of a man in a butler's coattails. She overheard them saying something about we must put the demon back basically in its bottle as soon as possible and close the gate. The letting Azathoth basically roam London at this point is basically will cause us more troubles than we can handle over time if this continues. We must get back into the lair and close it. And we need that key back that the paladins and these detectives seem to have stolen from us. And that was basically what the girl had heard.
I'm so glad that you have the key. And we know that they're casting a lot of people into a thrall, and you are taking adequate precautions to make sure nothing happens here, correct?
Absolutely, the Davenports would be extremely foolish to assault us in our sanctum.
Very good.
We are experts at fighting undead, after all. So, and effectively, I think that's where we should leave it for this evening, and then we'll pick up K House next time.
Do we think that the battle mistress wants to go and like raid the import export and destroy the coffin? So there's
I'll see that basically that the place is rousted and any assets that the Davenports have in that area are seized.
We can tell her that we did our best to destroy the summoning circle at the beer hall, and so that place by place we're trying to shut down the way that they escape.
Good. So, it does not. It worries me that they have been shipping vampires and ghouls, vampirekin and ghouls in this whole time. So, I'll let you know essentially what I find out after seizing the records of Davenport import exports. How many of these shipments exactly have arrived?
Do we want to give her the ledger, guys?
I mean,
I think
we have no further use.
Why not?
I think she can do more with it than we can, and she can match up how many of those NNNXXX. Maybe
sounds like a plan. I don't see why not.
So let me know how this expedition to the K House goes this evening, and of course the beer hall later on. I will forego raiding that location until you've done your business, essentially tomorrow evening.
Right, we're going to do our best to free the shopkeepers and the populace around there, and then, and once again, this will cut off some of the resources here.
It's like we're the scalpel, you're the hacksaw. After we find out what's inside, you can know exactly where to tear it out.
Never been quite described as a hacksaw before. But I've been called a battle axe before.
That'll work.
Oh my god.
All right. So, good hunting. All right, so that's where we'll leave it for this evening, and we'll pick up the K House the next session.
Okay, so guys, your homework is to be thinking about what song we can sing to entrance Madam K, what we might have at our disposal to trade for, and how we need to explain this. Because I think she'll smell confusion if we have any when we go there, right?
Probably. So it's good thing
Hey,
to think
you
about.
remember the sticks of the cult that we got that could make thralls?
No.
It's probably a bad idea to try and trade one of those, but it's an option.
I don't know that the crystal ball is a good option either. Although, maybe she would like to have a crystal ball that has a connection to the Davenports. That's a thought. Yeah, let's think about it, and we'll come back and we'll make a list of what we might have to trade for before we break down the door and talk to them, right? Have a great week. Well done, guys.
Night, guys.
Bye.